Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Raise the Vibe with Liz. I'm your host, Liz Peterson, and today I'm doing something really fun. I have my friend, mentor, and shaman mama, Elke Macartney, joining me today, and she is actually going to be the guest host. We're going to be talking all about my new book. So my new book is out. It came out last month, Living an Intuitive Life, Awaken to a Soul-Led Life Guided by Your Intuition. And I'm super excited to have Elke on to help me share my new book with you. Elke, welcome to the show.
Oh, I am super excited too. I've been whooping for the last hour in anticipation.
You've been on the show before, but why don't you go ahead and share with anybody who hasn't seen your episode a little bit about who you are?
Oh my gosh. It's weird because I always struggle to what do I say about myself? I'm an aura seer. So in relation to the topic of today, which is intuition, I'm an intuitive of lifelong and knew that there was something about me and about what I was getting and what I was seeing and feeling. I've been seeing what are called auras or energy fields most of my life. And I use these gifts always, always, always in my work as a healer, as a guide, as a mentor to beautiful people like yourself. Um, and yeah, that I think that pretty much sums it up. I'm really excited too to be with a person who acknowledges her gifts. Uh, this is something that I've known about you, but also on and off a little bit, acknowledging your gifts and then kind of downing them a little bit. I'm telling on you a little bit. But it's a good thing because I think this is a warm way of appreciating what you have to offer the world. All of us, all of us, myself included, has doubted our gifts. I'm pretty sure. Has doubted the little voice inside, has doubted that nudge, that gut instinct. Um, Even though I see auras, and so this is a little bit also about me, I see auras 24/7. So I see energy fields around people, animals, plants, sometimes places, and I dream in auras as well. So this is an ongoing concern. And even so, sometimes I doubt what I see, or I don't quite understand what I see. And that's where intuition comes in. So that's why I'm so excited to to interview you and just to have a nice conversation about this topic, which is so near and dear to my heart.
Mine too. And I love how you started with that because that's what led to this book was not trusting my intuition for years. And it wasn't until that fateful day in 2011 when we had the house fire that I realized, if I had trusted my intuition and followed every intuitive nudge that I was getting the day before, I could have
Yeah.
saved a lot of
Oh my
items.
gosh. How many times have I thought that myself, if only. Um, and that's how I was going to start off this conversation. I read that story and remember the circumstances around it and just went, whoa. Because it's really a story of, all right, you were getting nudges, you were getting indications of all kinds. Some things you followed, and some things you went, meh, my imagination or whatever you said. But I would love for you to share that story because I think it's very, very powerful.
Sure. Yeah, gosh, what an experience.
Yeah.
One you'll never forget. Of course, anybody who's experienced a house fire, any tragedy, it's something that's not soon forgotten about. Yeah, I was sitting out on the deck one day, just enjoying the sunshine, and all of a sudden, I got this download that something terrible was going to happen. And it was one of those things where doom hits you all at once. And I literally went up out of my seat. My first thought was, not my children, please, not my children. And, tried to calm myself a little bit. And I don't get all the information. I continue to not get all the information. I knew something was coming, but I didn't know what that something was. And that actually continues to this day, even with dream prophecy. So one morning I wake up, getting the kids ready for school. The two older ones have gone. The little ones are still there. I go into the kitchen after grabbing the older children's bowls off the table and I'm doing the dishes and I see a flicker because in the wind or across there's a breezeway that went from the house, the main house, to the garage. And there was a window in the garage door, thank heavens. So I see this flicker about where the light switch would be. And I realize the garage is on fire. Call
Wow.
911, get the kids out of the house, and we're watching, and not realizing on Vashon that, it's not like living in a city where you get the full crew shows up and they assess and they get to work. But it was the truck and a single person. God love Vashon Fire Department, honestly. But, and it's to keep everybody safe. He walks around and assesses as everybody shows up. So the day before, I had gotten a lot of nudges as I'm preparing for the first day of school to do the laundry, back up the computer, empty things out of the hallway closet, move things around in the house. Some of them I did, and some of them I didn't. I backed up the computer, but when I went to put the hard drive in the kitchen drawer, I paused because all of a sudden I got this thought: put it in the back room or, in the drawer in the dresser or in the closet. And I'm like, well, why did I do that? It's fine here. I've kept it here for almost a year. Not a big deal. So I just tossed it in the drawer and closed it. Well, the fire took out the kitchen. There was no kitchen left.
Wow.
Walking down the hall, I get the intuition, move some stuff out of the hallway, one of the hallway closets downstairs to storage. What? Open up the doors and I'm looking, and I've got some memorabilia on top and the old baby blankets from when the kids were little and my basket down that had my book of poetry and my knitting and I had stuck my son's baby calendar. He's my second born, and he loved looking at this baby calendar. And I hadn't put it back downstairs where all the other boys' baby calendars were in storage because he wanted to see it one day. And I'm like, no, why would I move all of this stuff downstairs? Next day, fire comes through, whole entire hallway, whole
Wow.
upstairs hallway. The bedrooms got water damage, smoke damage, but not a lot of fire damage except for like scorching. And of course, the fire retardant like wears on clothes and stuff like that. But if I had put that hard drive in my top drawer in the closet, I still would have it. If I had put that baby calendar or moved that basket of my stuff into the bedroom, I would have had it. If I had taken those baby blankets and put them down in storage, I would still have them. If I had, moved the memory box from up top that had some stuff that, these things can't be replaced, even from my childhood and my parents, gone. And I realized the next day as I'm walking around the house, I'm like, if I had moved that stuff, I'd still have it. If I had followed my intuition, I would still have my youngest child's baby pictures because we started putting them on the laptop instead of the desktop. My son would still have his beloved baby calendar. I'd still have my book of poetry and all of my witchy brews, that and recipes I had come up with for lotions and what have you from my creating. Yeah. So I kind of made a deal with myself. I'm like, okay, from now on, I'm like, this is like the straw that breaks the camel's back. You have got to start paying attention to your intuition and stop blowing it off. Now is the time. And I
Yeah.
just made a deal with myself that that's what I was going to do.
Wow. And I think that commitment has probably worked for you pretty well.
Yes.
So, which brings me to this question. Why did you write this book? What compelled you? I mean, was it a intuitive nudge, or what happened there?
It was. So I had created a excuse me. I had created a online workshop back 6 years ago now, and it was called Living an Intuitive Life. And I'm like, gosh, I would really like to do something more with that someday. And I got the nudge, was it last year or the year before, to turn it into a book. And I had gotten this nudge before when I turned my sex magic workshop into a book, How to Manifest Using Your Life Force Energy. And I'm like, okay, that would be fun. So I transcribed it. And of course, when you transcribe a workshop, you have a small chunk of material. And then I just took that small chunk of material and I turned that, I think it was like 50 pages or something like that. And I elaborated on all of my thoughts and everything that I had said and everything that I've experienced over the last several years and put it into the book to encourage other people because I think it was a pivotal moment for me to start following my intuition. And I really wanted to get the message out there. And getting the message out there via this workshop wasn't doing it. I wanted, something in hand where people could have all the tidbits that I didn't talk about and more. So it was really an intuitive hit. Write the book because the book needs to be written.
Yeah. And in so many ways, no better person to write about this because you reference all kinds of things that are really cool to know about, and we'll go into all of that, chakras and the different clairs and yeah, etc. But may I tell on you a little bit again?
Yes, please.
So, because I see auras, one of the things that I love doing that I offer to the world and to people, individuals, is I actually paint a picture of your aura as I see it in order to tell you what what the themes are of your living in this world, what your personal instructions are, what do you have actually going on? And you've got intuition all over the place. And so I don't know, do you mind? Do you have
I do. I
your
have a
aura
couple
picture?
because you have done a couple aura portraits for me. I have one from
Oh,
2019 and
okay.
then my most
All right.
recent one is this one from
Yeah.
2024. It was March
Yeah.
of 2024.
Oh my
It's almost
goodness.
coming up on 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to reference this a little bit and tell on you, which is a good telling,
Yes, please.
that the kind of the purpley, bluish purpley, it's called indigo, yeah, sphere that's around you, and also those two oval-like intertwined shapes, really suggesting that you are living within a sphere surrounded by intuition. I mean, intuition is all around you, and it's also informing you with these beautiful energy. I forgot what I call them, but they're kind of like streams of consciousness, but they keep going and keep going and keep going and intertwining with your form, with your body. And it's also in a beautiful bubble or sphere of turquoise, which is the visionary. It's the visionary tribe, um, person with ideas, 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 and more ideas. And by the way, I have an idea about that. And wow, that's a good idea. And, whether any of those land, well, we'll see. Obviously, I think by 2024, and even beforehand, in 2019, you were ready to have some of these ideas land and land in the form of your several books. I knew you when you put out your first book, um, Mom Died Last Night, a shared death experience. And it was so dear to me. I helped in a little bit in the editing process, but I also got to read and relive the experience with you of how your intuition informed you at that time as well, and how your gifts and how your experience would help others as they navigate the loss of a loved one or the journey towards that loss. So the other color that I see on the outskirts of that aura portrait is kind of a rosy color. And so right at the edges, I didn't have enough room because your aura takes up a lot of space, but and that's a small piece of paper. But on the very edge is this magenta, and it's part of the rose family. And rose is the ultimate in expression of love, being an expression of love. So that's what I also think you manifested. You manifest being an expression of love, in your books, in your healing work, and all the beautiful work that you do in this podcast. You're being an expression of love, but it's the deepest form of love, which adds the element of compassion. And that's actually, I mean, what I read in your book. I felt this sense of compassion that, hey, people, you know what? I got you. I got you. Because some of you totally trust this, but you have no idea what's going on. Like, what the heck is this feeling? But they trust it anyway because, hey, it's worked for them. But other people don't trust it, don't, and also don't know what's going on, or have no nice container to contain all the elements of what it's like to live an intuitive life. So I felt that that was a real manifestation of the compassionate being that you are, with the intuition and all the ESPs that the indigo part of you offers. Indigo is the most highly intuitive of all the energy field colors, all the aura colors. And with that spicy fun turquoise, ideas, 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 and also the bringing together of the heart and the mind, of the voice in the blue chakra, the voice chakra, the expression chakra, and the heart chakra, which often is a green. So turquoise is a combination of that. And that's how you express yourself. Always, always. Even if we're just having a casual conversation, you are expressing from both your heart and your deeply felt sense of things that you just need to express. In fact, I've heard you say, sometimes in a phone conversation, let me express this. I don't know if you notice that, but I do. And that's what this really fulfills, I think. So, okay, I'm going to ask you some questions too that people ask me all the time. I love these questions, but I would love to hear your possibilities and expressions. One is, do you think we're born with this? Do you think we're born with intuition? Or is it something that comes to you over time? Or what, how do you see that? And basically, how have you felt that?
I think we're born with it. I think everybody has it.
Okay.
Granted, there are people who are born awake, born seeing, born knowing, There are people whose gifts come on later. But I think the basis of our intuition is we're getting information. We're like towers. We're like radio towers.
Oh,
We're
wow.
receivers of information and then we broadcast out. Because that's how I see our energetic field.
Okay.
And when I'm working with clients, that's how I see it. I see it as we are these radio towers that are gleaning information from our environment, from the people that we're with, from source, with that clear cognizance, which is just clear knowing where the idea, the thought just pops in your head. And then we get to learn as we age. You know, and I think because when I look back at my childhood, I heard a lot, that was just a dream, that's just your imagination. I remember you saying this too, Elka. I was reading your bio today on your website, and that it even says it, oh, that's just your imagination. So we turn it off. For some people, they can't if they're able to see spirit or they have a spirit guide that's been communicating with them since they were younger and they have those abilities. They may not be able to turn it off, but most of us who hear, that's just your imagination, we turn it off.
Yeah.
Now, granted, when I was younger, even though I heard that, I don't know if I 100% believed them because I knew what I had experienced even at 7 years old. And I also have an inner lie detector within myself. So when somebody's saying something and it doesn't match up with my lived experience, I question. So I always questioned. And even though I got scared when I did see spirit and I did turn that off, I could still feel it. I could still sense when something was in the
Sure.
room. I was still picking up on friends' thoughts. I still knew right from wrong, even when I didn't listen as a teenager. Oh, we really shouldn't do that. And I did it anyway, you know, or that guy's not good for you or whatever it might be. Um, yeah. So we're born with it. And I think years and years ago, it was something that was nurtured. And in village or tribe, when you had special gifts, they were revered, they were recognized, they were assisted. You got a mentor.
Yeah.
So you
Yes.
were put in position and trained. And sometimes around the world, we have those lucky people that come into our lives who are able to do that for us, or spirit brings them to us. And I think I've had several people brought to me, you being one of them, where my massage therapist one day, our friend Michael Herswill, said, I have someone you need to meet. And I met you, and we've had our journey together. And I've had other people too. And I've heard stories of you saying the same thing, that people have just shown up in your life that teach us.
Yes. Absolutely. Um, and thank goodness, because I just want to ping on the words. That's your imagination. You know, mind you, my parents were very protective of their child, and perhaps that's why they said that. But I saw colors around people, I saw spirits, and I saw little people about my size as a little teeny tiny kid. They were my imaginary friends, but they were very real to me. And then I started asking my parents questions like, "Hey, Mrs. G down the street is really red today. Does that mean she's mad?" And, my dad started to, yeah, your skin turns red, when somebody's mad. I said, no, not the skin, the clouds. And so, okay, girl with a big imagination. And so for me personally, what got put away on a shelf somewhere in my consciousness was the sight, seeing auras. And this is, in my experience, is kind of a typical thing around 6 7 years old, when school and outside activities and input start really flowing in earnest. That's when a lot of adults that I know of will say that, yeah, I lost it as a child. But then for me, as you can tell by my bio, I literally woke up one evening and was propped up on my elbow and watching my first husband sleeping, and there were all these colors swirling around him, and I'm like, far out, whoa. Oh man, I must be in love because, like, whoa. And I don't even do drugs. This is cool. And then I got a little scared, like, wait, rub my eyes, rub my eyes, rub my eyes, shake my head. And thought, hold on. Because I forgot all about my childhood stuff. I was a very sensitive kid. I had precognitive dreams and apocalyptic dreams, and I kind of knew where people were coming from. But the colors went away until that moment, and I forgot all about it. And then the next thing you know, I'm coming up with some kind of cockamamie scientific theory to explain it all away, just like, imagination explained it all away. I said, okay, yeah, endorphins. That was kind of a new term to me as I was a student in psychology in the 70s. And yeah, and it's doing something to my, isn't it called the optic nerve? It just, like, oh my God. I went to sleep, thought it was all going to go away. And the next morning, it not only didn't go away, but everybody was surrounded by color. And the colors were talking to me. Like they were not talk, but I sensed I sensed something from them, and not all good stuff. So anyway, that's enough about me, but I want to say that you know, I like that you really do, as far as I can tell, believe that we're born with it. It's just a matter of acknowledging it. And I'd love for you to talk about that a little bit. Like what does acknowledging that this is a thing, this is something that I have, what has that maybe done for you?
Oh, that's been huge for me because I talk about this in my book also, as you know, that I doubted myself
Yeah.
a lot. And these things would happen to me, and I would just like, nah, no, that couldn't have just happened. But I loved it at the same time, right? And I knew it, but having growing up in normal society, I grew up in a small town on the southern tip of the peninsula of Maryland on the eastern shore. It really wasn't talked about. We had one psychic in town. I got a reading from her when I was 19, and she was right on the money. I remember later
Oh,
remembering like having the dawn on me, like, oh my gosh, what I'm living right now, somebody actually said to me when I was like X years old. And it just like pops into my head. Remember this? I think spirit was like, remember when this lady told you this? But I did. I doubted it, even when I saw things. And it's funny because all throughout my life, I've always said, like, that is the magic of life. But, when you're taking care of kids in a house and, your husband's off at work and you're super busy or doing whatever you're doing, it's not your focus. And as
yeah.
I started to get more time for myself and was able to, do a little diving because I was always, always, always interested in metaphysical topics, ghosts, you name it. Those were the books that I read ever since I was young. I wasn't really attracted to anything else. So I continued on that journey. I read shamanic books in my 20s, loved Anne Rice, totally drawn to her. The woo, anywhere I could get a good ghost story. And then teachers, everything that Hay House put out that was free, I watched and listened to. And then I found some other sources as we started having internet and I got more access to more things and books. And I was just constantly gobbling up everything that I could and was starting to pay more attention to like, oh, I just had that thought and then just happened. Or, oh, I just got an idea for something. I'm going to follow through and see what happens. Or, doing more like, oh, James from Prague is talking about it. It must not be like not normal. It's another possibility for who we are. And I've also always loved what's possible for us. And what is it that we have not been taught? Because I think that there's always been something inside of me where it's like, if I could just remember.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
always
there's
been that.
that. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mhm.
I can I can attest to that. In a way, I'm wondering, is this actually a remembrance of some kind? Intuition. That just popped into my head. Is it a
Mhm.
remembrance of some kind? That's innate in us as human beings. Um,
And
just
we've
open
been
to a
here many,
page and
many
yeah.
times before. So I
Oh
think
yeah.
there is an aspect of remembering. When was I the herbalist of the village, or, whatever it might be, And of course, we had those lives that weren't so nice that, you get flashes of, or that I have
Oh,
gotten flashes
those.
of. But, you know, where, and we are souls living a human experience. So, what has our soul lived? Plus, the soul is a fractal of the one, of source, so has access. So, what information are we remembering as our soul develops and remembers? And then the veil starts to lift because we come in with the veil of forgetfulness. As that starts to lift as we age and experience, then we see a little more. We remember a little more too, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think and know so too. I just opened to a page, did a little bibliomancy here, right? And I love this. You have some really nice chapters that are just kind of clear and useful, give some exercises and that kind of thing. But one is called tracking practice. And it's a practice of tracking your intuitives, hits, and that kind of thing. Maybe start a journal and all that. But what I just read was get curious. Start asking yourself, was that my intuition? Was that a message from the universe, the universal field, or the all that is? The universe will and always has conspired to help you. I love that. I mean, it's a conspiracy, but a good one of really wanting to help us. But I also was intrigued about starting asking yourself, was that my intuition? So I get this question all the time, and it's a fantastic one, I think. How do we know you know what's coming already, you psychic you.
I get this one too.
All right. How do you know if it's your intuition or your mind or your ego or just random thoughts, etc.?
Yeah. And I was one of these people that I remember asking this question over and over and over again to several different teachers. And finally, just from practicing and asking and getting curious, I have experienced it enough over the years to where I have faith in it and trust in it now. Back then, I was always second guessing myself in the beginning. Was that my intuition? Oh my gosh. I would think about it like for too long and then start getting other ideas. And that's what I talk about in the book. Like, when we ask a question, we normally hear the answer before we even finish asking the question. And then our mind gets involved and it gets attached. And it's like, was that the answer? Am I sure that's the answer? Do I need to ask again? What was that? And then we doubt. Debbie Downer like comes in and totally ruins it for us. But if we had just like listened to the yes or the no or the take the job, don't take the job, whatever it is, it's clear. And then source, spirit, however you want to, whatever belief you have or want to attach to it, wants you to know. So it's going to send you that friend that says, hey, by the way, I think that would be a really good idea for you. Or something, you get an email and it's an herbal class because you're in, should I take that herbal class? Oh, it comes up. And granted, if we're saying out loud these days, should I take that herbal class or not? Like, our phones are going to hear us and it's going to pop into the algorithm and it's going to be showing us. But if we're just thinking and we're asking in our head, and then things start unraveling and popping up, we see a sign, we get an email, whatever it might be, then we can start to see, oh, I am actually getting signs. This is no coincidence that I just happened to see that sign or happened to get this email when I just asked day before yesterday, should I do this class or should I take this job or whatever? It happened to me just recently. So I got the intuition. It's time for you to start working outside the house because I see clients here in my home. And I had even run this by you, Elke, in one of our long conversations that we've had. And I was talking to my
Yeah.
chiropractor and she happens to be on a hall with a massage therapist. And I came in the next time. She goes, oh, I mentioned that you were looking for an office space. And so down the hall has this great office. I would love for you to meet her. And then we continue talking. We continue talking out in the hall. And she happens to come out of her room. And so we all three start talking. Sure, come in and check out my space. Let me think about it. I wasn't really looking for anybody, but I have had somebody before. So we talk and, back and forth. And I go see my massage therapist and we're friends and I share with her. And then she says, well, let me know what she says. And then I get an offer. And I'm stewing and brewing about the offer. Should I take this offer? Should I not take this offer? I put it out to source. I'm like, okay, give me a message in my dream tonight if I'm making the right choice. And I had a very clear dream. I'm with the woman that has the office and we're talking and she's leaning up against her little kitchenette like she was in her office. And then I walk away. I leave and I go outside and it's beautiful green and there's 5 dogs running around and I'm walking towards another woman. And I think that's the clear answer. I'm walking away from this woman and seeing another woman. And this woman has a lot of dogs. And these
Wow.
5 dogs that I saw happened to be her heavenly dogs.
Wow.
And one specific was a Rottweiler in the beginning of the dream. And one of the 5 that she had that has passed on was a Rottweiler mix.
Oh my
So it
goodness.
was very clear dream. Nope. I walked out of the one office and towards the other woman. So I think that's very clear information. And we had a chat just yesterday, and I have a new spot in town on Vashon on Fridays now.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm actually kind of gobsmacked about the detail in the dream and stuff that you wouldn't just necessarily think of, on your own. Oh, I'm going to meet a person with Rottweilers or, like, I mean, this is all, but I love that you also paid attention to, I was walking away. So just because you had this woman in the dream in her kitchenette and she's really nice and I bet you that place was nice and etc., still and all you walked away. And I think sometimes the the hits are in the detail, like the real truth is in some of these little details that sometimes are just kind of I mean, frankly, for me, kind of whoop. And then in hindsight, you get a lot of that hindsight stuff. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I get a lot of that hindsight stuff, but I also get a lot of the confirmation stuff.
The
So,
dog, the dog was a confirmation. I
okay.
expected the first massage lady with the gorgeous office to say she had a Rottweiler or something. I was waiting for her to respond to that, but she didn't. And then when I shared with my massage therapist friend, that's when she started sharing about the Rottweiler she used to have. And oh, 5 dogs. I have 5 heavenly pets.
Wow. Now, I mean, that is beautiful, and it was a very specific ask on your part. Uh, Show me in a dream. But what are the other ways that you get, answers to, oh my gosh, what is the best course of action uh, for something, or man, I'm in a pickle in communicating with this one person, and what do I say? Or any of these lifelong, everyday situations where you're once in a while I get stuck, and I just say, "Help!" Uh,
Mhm.
how do
Yeah.
you ask for help, or how do you ask for the signs, or whatever it is you ask?
Yeah. When I'm going through something difficult, I put it up to source, the universe. I call it many things, sometimes even God. Um, I ask for a message in a dream. I use divination. I use my cards, and I also use my pendulum for answering questions. And I use all of those when I'm doing readings for people as well. A lot of the information comes in like as I'm talking or thinking or just letting my mind wander, information comes in for me. This morning, when I wake up now, I keep a notepad next to my bed because I get information as I'm laying there slowly waking up. I jot down my dream. I lay there for a little while and meditate, and I get information. Like this morning, I knew before I even looked at my phone that you had texted me and what the text was about because I got a visual image of receiving a text from you and a couple questions in there. If I'm going through something
Wow.
serious, I think it's a little harder when it's acute. When it's acute, our emotions can get in the way. So I really have to come out of reaction, that charge that we get when something's happened, or I might feel sad, I might feel worried, I might feel anxious. I have to calm myself down so I can receive a clear answer because I honestly don't trust myself when I'm in a reactionary response,
Right,
right?
right.
Like I had reached out to you because my dog is getting older. I don't know if it's her time yet. She's 14. She has bad hips. And I put it out over and over again. And I wanted to make sure that I wasn't acting out of reaction when she had an accident or something like that. And I was, being human. The human me is like, I don't want to clean this up, right? How do I manage this? What do I do? So allowing myself to calm down and put it out to source, put it out to dream, put it to the cards, put it to the pendulum, put it to you. I also think that it's important if we're struggling, sometimes just talking to a friend helps us to sort out what's going on in our minds and get a different perspective. And communicating with somebody really helps me to receive information, not only from the person I'm communicating with, but from my guidance, my
Yeah.
spiritual guidance as well. And
And
and we have blind
get,
spots.
do you get sensations when you're in conversation, say with me or a friend or something like that? So, for instance, you mentioned in the book the God bumps, the goosebumps.
Mhm.
I get I'm not only a seer, but I feel things too. And so when some big truthifying is happening, I get the lightning bolts down my spine. I mean, I feel this electric charge, and it's just, ooh, this is something I need to pay attention to. But I also I like what you said about, our human responds sometimes, in an acute situation, it's really, really, really hard to kind of cut through the trauma response or and so
Mhm.
bringing ourselves to our center and that kind of thing. My belated husband and I, we used to use muscle checking. It's called kinesiology, and we used it to hold the arm, ask a question, see if it, is strong or not. What we discovered though is that it was really great with things like supplements or food, physical decisions. What it wasn't so great about was some things that we were already emotionally tied to, had some thoughts about, and wanted to go a certain way. And so, like the strong arm would be like, and then we'd laugh, and then we go, shoot, how are we gonna sort through this? Uh, and so I guess where I'm kind of going here is how do I'm just in a conversation with myself right now about how my emotions can affect my my intuition. I mean, what do you see with that or feel with that? Do you
Mhm.
use your feeling nature?
I do. And I'm the same as you. I feel things in my body. Gosh, I was with a group of women the other day and we were talking, and certain things were just like ding moments where it's just like, whoop, just goosebumps from head to toe. And I have this thing, my whole body will light up if it is 100% in divine alignment for a person or myself or whatever. My whole body lights up. My moon chakras even light up. And I love that. And my no, I actually get a stomach ache when it's a no, or I get an aversion to
Mm.
something. Like if somebody's a little bit creepy or something like that, my energy just wants to move away. So I trust that. I have tried muscle testing as well, and I sometimes will try to trick myself. And I have to get somebody else to do it to me and say something that my brain cannot guess or know in the moment to trick me to get a right answer. I can hold the dropper bottle of a tincture and, move forward with a yes or back with a no, and even with the drops, like how many drops. And then I start straightening up when it gets to like, oh no, no more drops. But sometimes with the questions, like you said, that this, like, if I really want it, but it's not good for me, I'm going to try to will it. So, which is really funny. So I have to be careful. So I really, if I have emotions involved, I don't, I don't take the first response.
Interesting.
I see if I get repeat responses for about 24 to 48 hours. And it takes me a little while to process. And within like 8 to 12 hours, I'm like, calm down. I see the big picture, whatever it might be. And then I can trust myself again to receive that clear guidance.
Oh, that's a wonderful, wonderful tip because, by the way, part of my business, I love this part. People will literally bring in their buckets of supplements, vitamins, tinctures, medications, whatever, like buckets. And we whittle them down via how their energy field is responding. Because as we're talking, I'm noticing your energy field even because I can see it even on the screen, which is weird. But anyway, and the energy field either expands to say yay, or it collapses a little bit to say, nah, I don't want this. Now, there are also times though when it's in stasis and it's steady and it does nothing. It's not bad for you, but it's not good for you. It's just kind of, and usually that means, it's going to be a waste of money, or it's not worth, investing in whatever it is. But not everybody has a person that sees auras, and et cetera. So I always say that I think we know the answers already anyway.
Yeah.
I think, in fact, I know that because we are energy and you get a sense of it. And if you pay attention to your body as well, or an emotional reaction, as far as elaborating for you or for me, what's really going on here? Why am I really teary all of a sudden? Why do I have that stomach ache or a headache out of the blue? And so um, you, I love that you referenced a question that I give to people all the time, including myself. And that is when I do get, especially when I get a really strong emotional reaction, or I'm feeling ill or off. I like to ask the question, is this mine? And you put that in the book, and I bet you that has helped you many times. But I just want to say real quick that a long time ago in 2001, on 9/10/2001, the day before 9/11, I felt like hell warmed over. I felt awful. I felt sick. I dropped the kids off at school and I'm driving the mommy van, kind of in a semi coma practically. And I thought, when I get home, I want to speed dial any kind of healer or somebody fix me because it was awful. But instead, I thought to myself, ah, sheesh, why don't I actually do what I tell other people to do? So I pulled over and I asked the question, is this mine? And it was an immediate no. And then I kind of go through some layers too, is it all right, somebody that I love, or is it family? Is it community? Or is it world? I mean, I didn't have to go very far to know immediately something big in the world was coming. I knew it was going to be life changing. I didn't have any details. And then I usually ask, after I get that it's not me, I usually ask, okay, what do I do? And my usual answer is pray. So at that time, I prayed this very interesting prayer. I prayed for compassion for the people left behind because I knew there were going to be a lot of deaths. I prayed for Godspeed or smooth transition for the people who were going to leave. But I also prayed the most bizarre prayer. I said, and let there be no collateral damage, which is a military euphemism for civilian casualties, right? But
Yeah.
what I sensed was, let there not be any extra damage. And so, to make a long story short, then, but my body felt immediately better. Like I didn't feel ill anymore. And I went on about my day. And the next day, I got a phone call from my friend who lived in Manhattan, and this thing was happening. And in the early hours of all of this, I mean, there were 50,000 people per tower, right? So there must have been, at least 20,000 something deaths. But then the numbers kept going down, 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 down to less than 3,000. And when I think about it, did my prayer, putting it out into the field of let there be no collateral damage, help? Yes, because I think that's another reason that we really need to pay attention to our intuition, because it helps the field of others, of
Yeah.
the entire world. So that's my little story about 9/11, but it's not a little story. I really have asked that question. I pretty much ask that question all the time. Is this mine? So how do you use that question for yourself?
This is, as you know, been another one of my things, alongside, not trusting myself and the doubt was knowing what was mine and what wasn't. So differentiation. And I'm a feeler. I can be with you in a
Uh-huh.
room. If you have a stomach ache, I'm going to feel it. I remember going to a workshop at East West Books, and the presenter is standing up on stage. He invites somebody up, and he's talking about being an HSP. I've interviewed him. I'll think of his name in a second. And he says, "So, how are you feeling? Describe your feelings. Where are you feeling it in the stomach?" And he goes out to the audience and says, "Who feels a sensation in their stomach?" Me. you know and the person I had taken with me turns and goes, "You feel that?" And I'm like, "You don't?" And that's when it's like, not everybody can feel it, but also I feel it. And this has been something that's really been something that I've used in my work. When I'm with a client, my body mirrors exactly what's going on with them. If I need a block to move, I can trace it in my body and walk them through it, the release process. If we're at a sacred site and we're moving through a process, like I can assist somebody, follow their energy and assist them in moving their energy the way that they need to move it to get to where they need to be. So my big thing, and I've got a new one recently because I can feel it. Because a lot of times I'm like, I can pick up my son before he even gets to my house. Or if a friend is going through something, or my sister is going through something, before they call, I'm picking up on stuff. I'm feeling stuff. So one, is it mine? Which I also learned from you. And several other people also teach it. And my new one, when I know, I have asked the question, I know it's not mine. I'm saying I'm in the room with somebody and they have a hurt knee and my knee starts hurting. I'm like, their energy is theirs and mine is mine. Their energy is theirs and mine is mine. So I'm putting up boundaries because it's great for work. It's great when I have to suss out a situation or an environment and something occasionally. But all the time, I can tell my body, like, okay, I received all the information. Thank you for letting me know. And now their energy is theirs and mine is mine. And I'm thankful, grateful for all the information I get and wouldn't not want to know or feel it because I think it's information. And when we look at our energy fields, our chakras, all of our senses, our ESP senses, it's all information. So why would we want to deny ourselves information? So I allow, and then I'm like, okay, that hurts a little bit too much. I'm good. You know, like, okay, I don't need to feel all this right now. Yeah. I put up some boundaries, some energetic boundaries. And it also lets my energy system know, like, okay, we're in our own space now. And it's important to be in our own space and allow other people to be in their own space too. And that brings me back to my autonomy and gives them their autonomy too. Unless they want me to work on them. And then I'm 100% present for the whole entire session. And when the session's done, it's done.
Beautiful. I mean, that is really, really good because the other question I get all the time is it regards boundaries. I'm feeling everything, so your intuitive, uh, the indigo self, indigo people, things are always coming at them, I mean,
Mhm.
from everywhere. And so how in the world do you discern what's what and what's yours? Um, and I really like that. I like this. I like the feeling I got in my body when I was listening to you. That is theirs. This is mine. That's a fabulous way. I know, right? Like,
It feels good.
yeah, I don't even have to take this on. Yay.
Yeah. And it gives us a break because when
Yeah.
we're feelers, when we're empaths, Dave Markowitz is the person. I've interviewed him a couple times. He's fabulous.
Okay.
He was the one at East West Bookshop giving the talk. Okay, I distracted myself. And it gives us a break because I find these days I am receiving information 24/7. If I went into a Faraday cage or had Magneto's helmet or was under the ocean in a submarine or whatever, I would still get information. So it just gives me a moment, kind of like going to bed. And I wake up often at 3 o'clock in the morning. Spirit wants to talk to me or whatever. I'm doing work. There are times I'm a no. I need a good night's sleep tonight. I want to sleep a solid 8 hours. Boundaries. Leave me alone tonight. I don't want to work tonight. I don't want any guidance tonight. I'm putting myself, in a bubble if I have to. Leave me alone. So I draw a boundary.
I
And
love
then
it.
when my open sign is open again, it's like, I'm open. I'm working with a client. She happens to be a medium. I'm going to do a specific one. Okay. So I was working with a friend of mine who's a medium, and she often brings in people when she arrives. But it was Halloween that I was working on her. And the night before, I locked my house down. I didn't want any, buddy giving me messages, trying to talk to me, whatever. I put a bubble around my whole house. So it kind of looked like, you take one of those half round bowls and stick it over top of my house. That's what it was. And I had the Legion of Light around my house. She comes, and it's interesting because it's still there. And all of the spirits are standing on the outside of the bubble. And I can see this in my mind's eye. I'm not looking out. So I'm working on her, and I'm seeing behind me, and we're grounding down. We're pretty much just beginning the session. And I see this one white figure start to step forward and walk towards the house. And I'm seeing this in my mind's eye, like remote viewing. And because I'm keeping a check on the spirits, right? I know I didn't call anybody in. And I was getting ready to ask her if she called somebody in. And I hear a package get dropped at my front door, and I jump. Literally, it's Halloween. I'm seeing something walk towards my front door in my mind's eye. And when that package hit my front door, I jumped. And what I was seeing was spirit there, but I also got to see the delivery man walk up to the house and drop the package. So I forget where I was going with that.
Wow.
I lost the train of thought with the story, but
Uh,
we
we were
can.
talking a little bit about, well, a lot about the boundaries and the bubble and
Mhm.
that sort of thing, so that um, you can take a breath and you can be in your own energy. And I feel that that's a way to more clearly sort out what is theirs, what's yours, and
Yes.
that sort of thing. I'm looking at the clock, by the way. We've been talking for over an hour.
Look
Do
at
we
that.
get
It
to
is
talk anymore, or is
5:20.
that it?
Yeah,
I
we
know.
started. We started at 4:17. It's
Oh my,
5:19 now. We've already hit an hour. And of course we did. When
of
we get
course
on the
we did.
telephone together, we're on for way over an hour, usually. I
Yeah,
think that's fantastic.
it's too much fun, but I do want you to comment on one more thing.
Sure. I would
I
love to.
get
We
all,
can go over.
okay. What I get this all the time too, and I get it for myself. Trust. How do we trust ourselves?
Ah, the big question. That was
Yeah.
my question for so long, Elka. So, so long. Have faith in yourself. Know that what you're hearing, sensing, and feeling is real and true and there for you. And it doesn't matter who you are. And I realized this years ago when I really wanted somebody not to get help because I was upset with them. But help still came. But help still came to them. And I realized in that moment, it does not matter who you are or what you've done. Spirit wants you to succeed and wants you to have the information that you need in order to have the best life that you can have and be the best person that you can have and always be evolving and always becoming a better person. Trust. Have faith in yourself. And if you don't right now, if you're like, God, I really don't trust myself, do what I did and what I still do. Get that journal, start writing down every time you're right. Every time that you get an intuitive hit and it ends up panning out, put a check mark. And then when you go back and you look at your journal and you see all your check marks, you're like, I can't deny this anymore. I have to trust myself 100% now. Every intuitive hit, inspiration, idea, thought, feeling I get, I'm going to follow it now and just watch how the world starts opening up for you and you start having coincidences all the time. You start seeing 11:11 on the clock, 5:55. You get synchronicity after another, and you end up in what I call a divine flow where you're listening, you're receiving your guidance, and you're following through on your guidance, or you're jotting it down, you're trying it out, you're acting on it. And one thing leads to another, one idea leads to another, and you find yourself in this flow that cannot be denied and is the most magical thing on the planet. And I totally love my life being in the flow. And it is one coincidence and synchronicity and magic moment and happening after another.
Yeah.
And you feel supported, you feel led and guided and not alone. And I think this is important for a lot of people who feel alone or tired, because often you've heard me say it, Elka, I am so tired. But we have to remember, like, this is our life. And if we just focus on the things, those fun coincidences, those synchronicities, those things that are going well in our life, not that we're denying,
No.
but, we process when we need to, but allow yourself to be in the flow. I allow myself to be in my intuition. If I'm in my intuition, I'm in a flow because it's just one little breadcrumb after another. And I feel like I'm in this little boat. And when I was a kid, I used to picture that fairies were on the leaves going down the river that was behind my house, the canal
Of
into the
course
river.
they did. Of course
Uh-huh.
they
Of
did.
course they did. So I picture myself, I'm in that stream, I'm on that boat, I'm in that river, that canal, whatever it is. And I am just flowing with life. And I want to continue flowing for the rest of my life. And I want everybody else to find that flow state too. And that's another reason why I wrote this book.
Woo, woo, woo. Yeah. Um, because it actually flowed for me when when I was leafing through it. First, I leaf through books, just kind of see what hits me. And I felt the flow leading down this river of life to the ultimate, not goal, but the ultimate flow state of trust. That really, really stuck out with me. And just one more little example of confirmations. Do we get these confirmations, right? With our
Yes.
intuition too. So today I had many things to do. So much variety. It's like it's crazy sometimes. But one of them was I needed to put together a little talk, a 3-minute comment about an environmental issue, about something I don't want to see in my very beautiful, verdant, gorgeous valley, because it's going to be a fire hazard, and I won't
Mm-hmm.
go into what it is. So today was comment number 10, and I got the intuition to use what my ancestors experienced and my parents experienced as refugees of war, and how war, after the war, you have to dig through the rubble and recreate and, and bring things together. I even wore this pendant. It's a coin from Germany, and where my parents were German refugees and everything, as an inspiration. And it's a picture of a woman planting an oak tree, and she's a Trümmerfrau, which is the rubble women, the women of the rubble. And they picked through the rubble, they planted trees, they recreated these towns because nobody else was going to do it. But my point was that we don't have to create a battle that we don't need to fight. And so I referenced that, and this thing that they want to install that might explode into fire and create toxins and, devastation.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, this is heavy stuff and I'm writing, but I'm like on fire. And as soon as I read it through, got it all together, I clicked on my music. I had some music playing in the background. and I paused it while I was writing, and it was just some kind of music channel. And the song, it's Wunderbar,
Wow.
which which means wonderful in German. Wunderbar, wunderbar. It's an old song, but it's like, ah, yeah. Thanks, everybody. You know? So I love those, the humor of spirit and the delight that we also can get from following our intuition. So I derived a lot of delight in your book, but I also derive a lot of delight in knowing you. And so, how can people find this book, honey? On
So
Amazon? What's
yeah,
the
people.
story?
Yeah,
Okay.
people can go on Amazon Books and find the book and also all of my other books. And I also have it on iBooks now.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Amazon or iBooks, you can access it either way. And it's available in paperback and in reader version also. Yeah, I'm super excited about it.
I am too.
Thank you.
Go
Oh,
and
also
get it,
one.
people.
Yes, I also want to mention
Yeah.
too that they can go on my website, raisethevibewithliz.com, and just click books. And there's a link there that will take them directly to it on Amazon as well. Elka,
Wow.
this has been so great to have you host. What a pleasure to have you. And I love you so much. And what better person. And that was intuitively led too. Heard Elka, Elka, Elka for days. And the idea, have her interview you. You need a show because somebody canceled. Let's do it. So Spirit wanted us to work together, and Spirit wanted us to talk about the book because I think it's more important now than ever that we start trusting our intuition and what that tells us, not only about our own lives, but what's happening in the world as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And how can people reach you, Elka?
You're I have a website as well, and it's my name, Elke, and it's elkespage.com. And yeah, that's one way. Oh, by the way, Elke is spelled Elke. And if you want to be my friend, it's not pronounced Elke, it's Elke. So elkespage.com. It's pretty easy.
I
Thanks,
remember
Ed.
when I
This was a ball. Oh,
It
what?
was. I remember when I first met you, I pronounced it that way, and you were so sweet. You go, my friends call me Elka. And I'll never forget that moment. And thank you to Michael for introducing us because you really have been a blessing to my life and a blessing to me today. And thank you for agreeing to do this with me. I really love and appreciate you.
Same, dear. Take good care and blessings on you the rest of your evening and the rest of your intuitive life.
Yes. Awesome. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. It's been so fun to have this conversation. And you can find me at raisethevibewithliz.com everywhere on social media. And we're done. I love you. Mwah, mwah. And bye, everybody. I'll see you next time. Talk to you soon. And don't forget to get out there and raise the vibe. Bye, everybody.